Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Red Devils for your latest Manchester United news. And it's a pretty big news, it's pretty sad news. So, Manchester United has confirmed that Ruud van Nistelrooy has officially left the club with immediate effect after Ruben Amorim arrived yesterday and had talks with various members of staff and the likes. And sounds like he obviously did not want Ruud van Nistelrooy to remain at the club. Joining Ruud van Nistelrooy in leaving the club are three other coaches in Rene Hokke, one of the assistant managers, Jelle Tenuvela, who was the goalkeeping coach, as well as Peter Morel, who is a performance analyst and was all part of Erik ten Hag's backroom staff. However, there's no confirmation from United about who the new backroom staff is, but it has confirmed that Ruud, for example, has left, which is very, very sad. He very clearly wanted to stay and I think wanted to work with Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim said that he was very clear about what he wanted, and given the decision, it looks like he did not want Ruud van Nistelrooy. I find that quite a frustrating outcome, to be honest, because I can understand both sides, to be fair. I can understand why Ruben Amorim probably doesn't want to have a Ruud van Nistelrooy. You know, big name, big sort of club legend, been involved in the coaching staff, just been on a really good run as sort of interim manager, 3 out of 4, for example. And, Ruben wants to come in and basically instill his philosophy, his way of doing things. He wants to bring his backroom staff. So when he arrived yesterday at Carrington, when he boarded the plane, it looks like he had a lot of his assistants with him. And it sounds like he will be bringing a lot of his backroom staff with him to United, which will be interesting to see from a financial point of view what we've actually had to do and what the agreements are with Sporting to be able to get all these coaches out of contract and the like, and bring them across to United. So we've got no official confirmation on exactly who's going to stay, who's going to come with him rather. For example, Darren Fletcher's still involved at the club, so it looks like he's not going to move along, but I don't think he'll be as involved as he was, for example, with Ruud. I think he's obviously got a different role in the club, and he's a first-team coach in theory. But I'll be interested to see what the long-term future for someone like Darren Fletcher is, because he has not made way. So, I think, for example, Ruben Amorim wants to have a clean start. I think a clean slate, really, and probably doesn't want any sort of reminiscence of the previous managers and the tactics and previous relations, for example. And I suppose it is quite intimidating, coming into a club where you've got someone like Ruud van Nistelrooy, club legend. He's got the buy-in from the players. The players know him. He's been there for a few months, and the fans obviously love him and stuff like that. And you don't want to be in a situation where he's sort of overshadowing you. Now, I don't think Ruud van Nistelrooy is that kind of person, to be honest. I think, all sort of counts of him and the likes is that he wants to just work alongside Ruben Amorim and wants to be part of this coaching staff. But at the same time, as Ruben Amorim, you want to be able to bring your own staff in, people you trust, people are going to tell you the things that and work with you the way you want to work with. I think it's a massive loss for United to Ruud van Nistelrooy, and I've really enjoyed how the fans have reacted to it, because I think a lot of people are quite unhappy about it. And obviously, a lot of people thanking him for the interim job he did. But I think we've lost something here. I genuinely do. I think we've lost a player who, a manager and a personality who knows what it is to bleed Manchester United, knows what's expected. I think he's been communicating that to the players. He hasn't been mincing his words the last few weeks. He's spoken about the fact that the performance, hasn't been good enough in certain games, and that it's not good enough of Manchester United. The league table, for example, is not good enough for Manchester United. And you want somebody that has those high standards, understands what it means to win. But I think the biggest problem, what we've seen with previous sort of personalities, we saw Mike Phelan, for example, involved in Odegaard Schalke the likes, is the constant comparison to how things were. And this almost idea that we've got to go back to how things were before we were ever going to sort of win anything, that we can't win anything unless we go back to how things were under Sir Alex Ferguson. And I think Ruben Amorim, for example, he wants to do things like what's being done at Sporting. He wants to implement the structures, the systems, the way things work his way, basically take over the entire setup and not have these constant comparisons. Well, back when we won the Premier League this many times, we did this. Back when we were this, he wants to basically say, I don't care. You last won a Premier League over 10 years ago. So we can't keep looking at the past. We have to look at the future, which I think is the right way of looking at it. I just do find it quite sad, because I think that Ruud van Nistelrooy would have had input. I personally would have liked him to stay for a few months, even to the end of the season, and basically said, right, as an interim period, just come in and be a resource for Ruben Amorim. Let him ask you, listen, why doesn't this happen at the club? and be able to say this, and why. And not justify, but be able to be very blunt about it and be able to explain where are the shortcomings, where are the deficiencies from what Ruud has seen in the first few months. Help Ruben Amorim understand where are the shortcomings, where do they need to focus on, where do they need to try and change things in order to be able to get the club back to where it wants to be. In terms of Ruben Amorim's starting, in terms of work, he is obviously in Manchester. He was welcomed yesterday by the United trio of Omar Beretta, our chief executive, sporting director Dan Ashworth, and technical director Jason Wilcox. The idea was going to be meeting key staff with Advanced being able to start working sometime this week. At the moment, he cannot officially work for United. He cannot conduct a training session, for example, and the likes, because he is waiting a work visa. But he can still have all the meetings with medical staff, for example, and get to know how Carrington works and the likes, and have meetings with sort of the main people about what's going to be implemented. So he is there. He is in Manchester, but is still waiting on a permit to begin official work with the squad. In terms of that work with the squad, he's got 13 days, I think 12 now, I suppose, actually, before our first game against Ipswich, which is where we'll actually welcome back Kieran McKenna, which will be quite interesting. Somebody who was linked with the United job and I think could potentially be a United manager in the future if he can continue to grow with Ipswich. They had a tough start to the league at Ipswich, but they've been quite close to getting results. So they've been able to get over the line, and they're not sitting in the relegation zone, and that will be their main thing. But having beaten Spurs this weekend, that will be a big breakthrough for them. I mean, they've had some really unfortunate results. 4-3 against Brentford. They drew to Leicester, so they had some good results. They're a side that we should beat quite comfortably, but not a side you want to underestimate. And I really would like to see Kieran McKenna succeed there, because I think we remember how all the players didn't really rate him. For example, Jose Mourinho rated him. He walked in and said, "Who's this guy? Why is he with the juniors?" No, nonsense. He's going to come up and he's going to work with me, because you could see the talent there. Then some of the players were complaining, and some apparently saying that some of his sessions were that of like junior sessions and the likes. And the ironic thing is, he then went to Ipswich and has done miracle work, where a lot of the players that complain about him have not gone to do a lot. So I do think I rate him very highly as a manager. And still so young in his managerial career. He's not even 40, he's 38 years old. So it'll be quite a cool reunion, and I'll be interested to see what the reaction is from the fans, for example, when he does come back. But obviously, in that perspective, you've got to make sure we win that game. So it is a new dawn. It is officially a new dawn. No more Ruud, 3 more coaches. So that's 5 people that have left from where we were a month ago. And we're waiting to find exactly who the new people that will come in. But we expect to see probably 3 or 4 more coaches from Amorim's, backroom staff at Sporting make the move as well. Hopefully they can settle in quite quickly, and hopefully we can start getting off the ground quite quickly. But sometimes it is a problem when you basically just lose the entire current backroom staff. You bring your own in to try and implement your own systems, but you then take too long to understand how the new club works, and you don't have that kind of people who you can sort of lean on and understand where the club is and stuff like that, and how things work at the club, to try and become a bit of a bridge between the different parties. So let me know what you think is going to happen down in the comments below. Are you excited? Are you nervous, for example? What are you feeling about Ruud van Nistelrooy? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.